And with this one too, it had a really bad sunroof. It's like they know when I'm filming. Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now today what I wanted to talk about is a car that I truly miss with all of my heart. And it was probably one of the smallest cars that I've actually ever owned. Besides my Miata, of course, but it was a 1986 Honda CRX Si. And I really vividly remember the first day that I got the car until the day that I sold it. And this car got me through my entire freshman year of college. I was going to a community college at the time, and I would drive this thing in the rain, snow, whatever. I mean, for the most part, it was just mostly rain, because that's usually what we get over here. But the big thing was, I loved this car so much, and I learned so much about working on cars with this specific car. And if you're new to the storytelling series that I'm currently doing, I'm just basically giving some stories of just some stuff that I've done in the past with cars. So if you're into that kind of stuff, make sure to stick around. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more if you're looking for more car content just like this. But with that being said, let's just get into the story. So what ended up happening is I found this car and I ended up buying it, and I was with my dad, and I bought it for $700. And the whole thing with it is they said that the clutch was bad. So the clutch was so bad that you couldn't even move it. Usually with cars that have really worn clutches and stuff, you have at least a little bit of give when it comes to the clutch grabbing, because all it is really just a frictional disc that has these little pucks on it that are made of this material that mate with the pressure plate as well as the flywheel, and that's what catches and that's what causes the car to move forward. So with this one, it just had a completely toast clutch. So this seems pretty straightforward. And with this one too, it had a really bad sunroof. It's like they know when I'm filming. So this one had a really bad sunroof where the sunroof was stuck. And it was stuck in the open position. So there had been a little bit of rainfall eventually getting inside of it, but it wasn't a lot where it was developing mold and stuff like that. So one of the first things that we needed to address was definitely that sunroof, but the first thing that I needed to do besides that was just get it to the house. So after we find a way to tow it back to the house, we just start ripping into the car. And I remember specifically that on this car I had to do the transmission not once, not twice, 3 times. I pulled the transmission on this car 3 times. And the good thing is that these cars, especially Hondas with the D series engines, if you guys want to look that up on your own, are some of the easiest engines / drivetrains that you could ever do in a car. Super easy. Once you drop the axles, move the rotors and stuff out of the way, it's just mostly just taking stuff off, and then it's really easy just to access the transmission and drop it. And it's not even that heavy, honestly. You could pick it up and carry it. Which is kind of funny. Usually transmissions, you have to have a transmission lift, and it's this whole ordeal. But I mean, I'm just literally just taking this apart and putting it on the shop floor. And what I found out is the first time I replaced the clutch, just thinking, okay, replace the clutch, not a big deal, right? And at the time, it looked pretty dry over there. So I wasn't thinking rear main seals or main seals or anything like that. Put it back, and I find out I'm driving it up a hill, and the car won't go up the hill. And I'm so stumped, and I'm freaking out. And this was back when I was pretty naive, and I didn't really know too much about cars at the time. And I was asking my dad, I was like, man, what is going on with this car? I can't make sense of it. So we go around the block and we try and make it up the hill. Car barely makes it up the hill, and all it smells like is burnt clutch. So I was like, man, he's like, I don't know, something must have happened with the clutch. So I bring it back in, just barely limp the car back into the shop, put it up in the air, drop the axles, everything. Hours later, transmission's on the floor, and I see that the clutch is completely contaminated in transmission fluid. So that is typically an indicator that the rear main seal has gone bad. And luckily the rear main seal is actually really cheap to get. So just it's a few dollars. It's just literally a rubber ring that is a seal that goes on the back of the engine, and there's also one on the transmission. So I'll get the one that goes for the transmission, get another clutch, put it back together. And I found out when I put the clutch on this one that it had some chatter. So it had this thing where if you press in the clutch, you would get this weird like chattering going on. And it was just annoying. Like, you could drive the car like that for the next like 5-10 years, but it was just so annoying. Every time you push in the clutch, so for anybody that's, you know, not a car mechanic, they probably think that the car is about to blow up, but all it is just a little bit of chatter. And what caused that actually is something getting burnt on the flywheel. So with the flywheel, you need that surface to be super smooth, right? So if there's any imperfections in the flywheel, even if it's just like a little divot, every time that clutch comes in contact, or the way that the spindle goes out and holds the clutch in, that could cause the chatter. So I was thinking, all right, so I have to pull the transmission out again, do it all over again. And this time I actually lubricated and greased the spindle that the actual clutch is sitting on. And I think that was actually what it was, and it wasn't actually the flywheel. But that was just kind of a preventative measure, because my God, I don't want to ever do the transmission on this car ever again. So definitely did that, put it back together, and after that, I had so much fun with the car. Man, it doesn't even matter. The car just starts up every single time, and that's kind of like the beauty of a Honda, right? You don't really have to worry about stuff like that. It's not like a BMW or something where the check engine light's always on and it's always giving you a heart attack. That car, man, is so old, but I just go and it fires right up. Man, it's so sweet. And it's almost like driving a go-kart, you know? It's like low to the ground, it's super lightweight, but it's super roomy at the same time. Like, I remember giving one of my friends from high school a ride in it, and he's like a professional volleyball player now, and he's a super tall dude, and he fits in it perfectly. And even one of my bigger friends used to take to work all the time. This was back when I used to work at the ballpark. Be able to fit both of us in it, and he actually loved riding in the car. You know, I had my little CD player. I didn't even have the auxiliary cord or anything, you know, this is like way back when. So I had like the CD player, and I would go upstairs to my dad's house, and I would like burn all these CDs, and I'd put them in the car, and we'd just be listening to the same thing over and over again. But there's kind of like a little bit of a charm to that, you know, that you don't really get this day and age, where, you know, you could literally stream anything off of your phone. This is kind of back where the struggle, you know, we had to have like CDs. And, you know, there's a time before that where there was cassettes, but that we'll save that for another day. Anyways, I didn't even have to advertise this car, because every time somebody would come by and see the car, they would always ask me about it. Hey, is it for sale? Is this something you want to sell? And what I ended up doing is I actually sold it to one of my neighbors. Funny enough, one of my neighbors ended up buying it. And that's the last I really heard of the car. And, you know, honestly, if I could find another one, I would love to have another one of these CRXs. Even if I could find one, I would totally like build it. One of the things on my bucket list that I really wanted to do with that car that I never got the chance is I wanted to do a B series engine swap. So that's like the dual overhead cam engine with the VTEC and everything that you can get from like a 90s Integra. I would love to put one of those in that car, because that car was phenomenally light. So even with that 1.8 liter engine, that thing would just absolutely turn into a rocket ship. So maybe even the second generation Civics would be pretty cool too, like the CRXs and the Wago vans and the EF Civics and stuff like that. I think those would be really cool too. And those actually have the independent suspension, which is a little bit better, because these ones actually had the torsion beam, so that's, you lose kind of like the customizability there. But, you know, I mean, it's very minor detail at the end of the day. So, you know, with that being said, I think that's all I really got for today's story. So let me know what you think down in the comments down below. And if you liked the video, like the video. And if you didn't, that's okay too. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. So take care.